Let's bring in MSNBC political analyst Richard Wolff, and also joining us, Christina Bellantoni, senior reporter for Talking Points Memo. Good morning, the two of you.
Good morning.
Richard, what is the thinking in the White House? How much ground do they think they can make up?
Well, they're not looking at the national numbers here, so I know we quote the sort of generic numbers, how Republicans and Democrats are doing. They're looking specifically district by district, state by state. Where do they have the most chance to get the electorate looking more like 2008 than where pollsters think it's going to be this time? So young voters, minorities, these infrequent voters who showed up in 2008, if they can nudge that up a little bit, some of these toss-up races may end up in the Democratic column after all, but do they think they can make it all up? Not even the most optimistic people in the White House are suggesting that.
How about Christina? What does the strategy look like in the last 3 weeks of the White House? What do they want to emphasize, and what do they want to avoid?
Well, there are a couple things. One is they'd like to sort of elevate the far-right Tea Party candidates that are running for Senate. If they do that, then in minds of voters, those persuadable voters that Richard's talking about, they hope that they can persuade, for example, suburban women who might be a little uncomfortable with a candidate like Christina O'Donnell in Delaware, and that might affect their race locally. But at the same time, both the Obama White House and the DNC are laying the groundwork talking about it's very important. President Obama can't do it all. It's very important that campaigns run good campaigns. So that's laying the groundwork in case they lose to be able to say, well, we did everything we could, but those campaigns weren't properly run.
Richard, how about any hope in the White House at all that the GOP may have peaked early in this election cycle?
Well, there is that hope. I don't know that there are many Democratic strategists, political folks inside the White House who think that the GOP is somehow going to decline, but they do think that what they're seeing now is the GOP at maximum speed and velocity, and that is a known factor. What they don't know is what velocity, what speed, what enthusiasm Democrats are going to show up with, because a lot of these models that pollsters have built, that we all talk about, are a guess. They're an educated guess, but they don't know. So that's the great unknown, and that's why if they can fire up either through the president or through the individual candidates, as Christina said, then maybe Democratic speed and intensity can change, whereas they've got to assume that Republicans are still going to run at this very fast pace that they've been going at for many months.
Christina, how about any evidence, real evidence out there that the races are tightening up? Are Republicans perhaps underestimating the turnout for Democrats?
Well, anything is possible in this. I think the Democrats are looking at very small margins here. You know, they've talked about these races where, for example, President Bush won in 2004, but then a Democrat won in 2006 and or 2008. They talked about those candidates not necessarily belonging in those districts. They are pretty red districts. So if they can just tinker with the margins and get it to a 51-49 on the Democratic side, it'll make a big difference. And in some cases, that's a few thousand voters. So they're doing a lot of ground contact, making sure that voters understand all of the facts and what's at stake.
So, Richard, 23 days out, if you were a betting man, would you put it all on a GOP takeover of the House, or would you hedge that bet?
As a bet, which I'm sure I'll regret, I'm going to say GOP takeover of the House, but their majority is single digits. It's narrow, and we all say that they've fallen short of expectations, but still a big win. But at single digits, it's a tough call.
Okay. Christina, same question to you.
Yeah, I mean, the odds are in the Republicans' favor right now. There's a lot of people already voting in this country, and the Democrats know that Republicans are enthused, and they need to get their people enthused. So it's looking like that, but again, it's not just about odds, so who knows?
Okay, great conversation with you both. Richard Wolff, Christina Bellantoni, thank you.